Want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. Just got done watching the Pistons versus the Knicks last game of the week. My mic keeps falling over. Apologize about that, you guys. Pistons finished the week 2-1 with two big wins this week. One against Denver, one against New York. Obviously, the game last night. Love to have that one back, but finished the week 2-1. They have the Knicks, Amazon Prime game. No Jalen Duren tonight. He obviously tried to go through it, but he's still dealing with knee soreness. No Karl Anthony Towns for the Knicks or OG Anunoby and Deuce McBride. So they were without a couple of key guys and missing two starters. But this game started off very physical. This started like kind of like a playoff game. Every time we play the Knicks, it's very physical. Sellout crowds. Sounded like a playoff game tonight. If you guys were at Little Caesars Arena, definitely let me know how the atmosphere was. But like, just really liked the physicality. Like within the first 6 minutes, it was like 10-10. It didn't look like this game was going to get into the 100-point territory. The Pistons scored 100 points tonight. The Knicks didn't, but very early on. I love the aggressiveness by Cade Cunningham. Love to see him attack the basket, hit a couple of threes. You like to see that. He did pick up a couple of fouls, which this kind of like ticky-tack fouls where he's just kind of grabbing. But, overall really liked what I saw out of him. I thought the Pistons were kind of fortunate in the first quarter because the Knicks just kept grabbing offensive rebounds, but lucky they didn't cash in on those, so I was really happy about that. And then Pistons just ended the first quarter on a 14-3 run. And shout out to Danish Jenkins, man. Final day of his two-way contract, and he just showed out tonight. Had over 18 points, but Pistons closed the first 28-17. Going into the second quarter, bench unit just brought the energy. Love to see that. The Pistons bench, when it's flowing, when they're scoring, like they're very hard to deal with. You have defenders like Javonte Green and Ryan Holland out there. You have guys like Danish Jenkins setting stuff up. And they just out hustled and outworked the Knicks, and they were hitting a lot of 3-point shots, which does help because we all know that we are not the strongest 3-point shooting team in the NBA. But when we do hit threes, we're very difficult to deal with. And they were just outworking the Knicks on both ends of the floor. And there was a lot of balanced scoring in this first half. Had over 5 guys score over 8 points or more. And the Pistons go into halftime with a 63-42-point lead. Stu picked up his 4th foul in the third. Obviously, we all know how important he was tonight with no Jalen Duren. But Paul Reed stepped up, had some very impactful minutes against Mitchell Robinson, had a couple of takes around the basket where it was either scoring or he was getting to the free throw line. It was really cool to see Paul Reed take advantage of his minutes. I feel like every time he does get his number called, he stays ready and he makes the most of his minutes. Tobias Harris was scoring big in the third quarter in the non-Cade Cunningham minutes. Jenkins was scoring the basketball too. And it got to a point where it's just like Pistons are up 30. Like the Knicks kind of just waved the white flag. It got to a point where Jalen Brunson wasn't really having his most consistent scoring night. Josh Hart hurt himself, hurt his ankle again. And end of third, it's 90-60. Going into the fourth, Knicks just waved the white flag. They did not play their starters. Jalen Brunson and I almost said Miles Bridges, Mikal Bridges were on the bench for a majority of this fourth. It was just the bench units going up against each other. Kevin Huerter did get some minutes a little bit later in the fourth quarter, but it was just a complete domination game by the Pistons. They just controlled the tempo. The defense was excellent. The shot making was great. That's a 30.8 win against the New York Knicks. And so far this year, the Pistons have beat the Knicks both times. They are now 9-1 on the second night of a back-to-back, which is very impressive. And they end the New York Knicks 8-game winning streak. Pistons do play 2-time next week. I know the Monday game is Charlotte. I don't remember the second game of the week. So maybe someone in the comment section can kind of refresh my memory. But that was a really good win. Good way to end the week. Do want to get into the box score, and then we'll open up the show. If you guys are brand new here, we do Q&A. It's kind of like an open forum for any of you guys that are watching live on YouTube right now. Any comments, questions, thoughts about a certain player or just the game in general, definitely leave it down in the live chat if you're watching on YouTube right now. But let's get into the box score with the Detroit Pistons against the New York Knicks in this one. So let's start with the starters. Tobias Harris, 26 minutes, had 15 points. He was 5 out of 11 from the field, 3 out of 6 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Also had 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover. Finished the game with a plus 21. The plus minuses when you win by 38 are just insane. I just want to give you guys that. Let you guys know everyone's plus minus was just off the chain tonight. Duncan Robinson in 20 minutes had 9 points. He was 3 out of 8 from the field, 3 out of 7 from 3. He had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal. He was a plus 7 in the plus minus. Isaiah Stewart in 21 minutes, 15 points, 6 out of 7 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Perfect from the free throw line, 2 for 2, 3 rebounds, 2 turnovers, 1 steal. He was a plus 6. Really like the scoring by Stu tonight. It was needed when he was in the starting lineup at center. Last game, he only had 4 points, so it was good to see him have a bounce-back game for the Pistons in only 20 minutes tonight. Cade Cunningham in 22 minutes had 11 points. He was 4 out of 11 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, 2 out of 3 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 turnovers. He was a plus 9 in the plus minus. Sar Thompson in 24 minutes only scored 2 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 2 steals, 3 blocks, plus 11. Just the defense that he was playing all night. I know he only scored 2 points, but just some of the perimeter defense, the switches, some of the blocks he had. He had 1 block where he almost hit his head and used his forearm to block his shot. Like, I just love the kid's defense. He's so impactful in the starting lineup for the Pistons. The bench unit, a lot of guys played tonight. So Paul Reed, 27 minutes, got extended minutes because this was a blowout for a majority of the game. Had 12 points, 50% from the field, 4 out of 8 from 3, 1 for 3 from 3, perfect from the free throw line, 3 for 3, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He was a plus 32 and led the whole team in plus minus tonight, which is insane. Wendell Moore played 6 minutes, didn't score, did grab a rebound, and did block his shot. He was a plus 2. Ron Holland in 21 minutes scored 5 points. He was 1 out of 4 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line. Big on the rebounding glass as always. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals. He was a plus 28 in the plus minus. Javonte Green in 14 minutes had 8 points, perfect from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. He was a plus 12 in this one. Karis LeVert in 18 minutes scored 8 points, 3 out of 5 from the field, 2 out of 3 from 3. Also grabbed 1 rebound, 6 assists. Did a really good job of facilitating the basketball tonight. Finished with a plus 27 in the plus minus. Kevin Huerter in 8 minutes scored 8 points, 4 out of 6 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block. The one thing I will say about Kevin Huerter in the very short amount of time that I've seen him play in a Pistons uniform, I like that he's not a traffic cone defensively. He's at least, trying to stay in front of players and rotating. So that is a pleasant surprise with Kevin Huerter. Saw a lot of fans say that he was bad defensively. I'm not saying he's locked down, but at least he's like passable. Marcus Astor in 10 minutes didn't score whatsoever. Grabbed 2 assists, 2 turnovers. He was a plus 4. Chaz Lanier made the most of his minutes in 6 minutes. He had 7 points, 3 out of 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Also grabbed 3 rebounds, 1 assist. He was a plus 2 in this one. Love to see more minutes for Chaz, but I don't know how possible that is going to be with JB Bickerstaff with his guard rotation. Danis Jenkins led the Pistons in scoring, 18 minutes, 18 points, 7 out of 11 from the field, 3 out of 6 from 3. Perfect from the free throw line, 1 for 1, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, plus 23. Made the most out of his minutes. Really did. Last day of his 2-way contract. We're going to get into kind of the standard contract. Trajan kind of touched on his situation today right before the game, but we'll kind of get into that. The team stats. Just insane. You look at the Pistons, they shot a whopping 53% from the field. Knicks shot 35% as a team. Pistons shot 43% from three. It's not a typo, 43%. They made 17 out of 40 attempts. Knicks only shot 24%. They were 8 out of 33. Pistons shot 87% from the free throw line, 13 out of 15. They grabbed 44 rebounds, the Knicks 35. Pistons obviously had a very good assist night. They had 31 to the Knicks 22, 10 steals to the New York Knicks 6 blocks to the Knicks 1, had 13 turnovers. Knicks had 15, which, if you can stay like around like 10 to 12-ish, I think it's a pretty good game. Pistons also had 40 points in the paint. There's a couple technical fouls in this one. No flagrants, which good to see. You don't want to see anyone get hurt or anything like that. But just a complete victory by the Detroit Pistons in this one. What I do want to get into is Q&A. Like I mentioned, it is going to be an open forum. For any of you guys that have any comments, questions, overall thoughts with tonight's game, definitely leave them in the live chat if you're watching on YouTube right now, or if you're watching on whatever platforms we are streaming on, because I do know we are streaming on, I think, 3 or 4 platforms right now. But I'm just going to take a quick water break. I'm going to surf through the comments, and then we'll wrap up this podcast with our Q&A segment. So we will be right back, you guys. Okay, you guys, we're back. I see you guys spamming the live chat right now. Appreciate you guys watching after this 118-80 victory over the New York Knicks. We're going to open up the show to one of our first comments, and this comes from Marcus. Do you think Cade will win Clutch Player of the Year? That is a very good question. Now, if we go over to FanDuel and we look at the live odds right now for Clutch Player of the Year, right now Anthony Edwards is actually leading that category at a plus 105, but right below him is Cade Cunningham at a plus 380, tied with Tyrese Maxey. Then you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at plus 750, Nikola Jokic at plus 2,700, and Denny Avdia at plus 3,000. I think it's kind of like a two-way tie right now with Clutch Player of the Year between Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards. Both are having incredible years right now. I might be a little bit biased. I'd probably give it to Cade. I feel like Cade has been really good in the clutch this year. He's had a lot of games where, it's come down to a possession or come down to a big shot in the fourth quarter and he's delivered. I personally would probably take the Cade Cunningham prop, but that's just me. I know going into this game also, the Detroit Pistons were actually not favored to start right before. I think last night I checked, Knicks were a 1.5 point favorite. Then after the injuries came out, they kind of flip-flopped to the Pistons being a 3.5 point favorite. won by 38. So if you guys took that under with the Pistons, you're probably happy tonight. I want to get into some questions about Danish Jenkins. So DJ Billy Bob does have a comment about that. Says, wish we could take some of the points and give them to last night, but that was fun. Will the Pistons please sign Danis before Sunday? Langdon just said he would. That is good to hear. So for you guys that don't really that aren't too active on Twitter, because I think some of you guys are just like on YouTube. Maybe you're not on all social media platforms. The Pistons did have a mini press conference before the game started. Trajan Langdon kind of talked about the deadline, and then he also was asked about Danish Jenkins and his two-way. Tonight was the last game of that two-way contract, so he is going to get a standard contract. Trajan said, we're probably going to get it situated this weekend, and he'll be ready for the Hornets game by Monday. So that is good to hear. I think a lot of us were kind of wondering, why wasn't he active for the Washington game? Obviously, the Pistons looked at the Washington game. They looked at his active games. They're like, we're not going to waste his last game on the Washington Wizards. Let's have him active for the New York Knicks. And he got up for the Knicks. His three-point shot was falling. He was driving to the basket, getting into the lane. Was just really active all game. Led the Pistons in scoring. And I think he made a pretty good impression during his two-way. He's going to get a standard contract for the remainder of this season. Then he will be a restricted free agent. The Pistons will have his bird rights, and they can kind of figure out from there what they're going to do with him in the long term. Just my opinion. I could be wrong here, but I do think Danish Jenkins is probably going to get at least a 2-year contract by the Pistons this summer. Could be anywhere from like the $5 to $10 million range for him. But really happy for the kid. Worked his ass off in the G League last season and just had a really good camp, good preseason. And I think he just made the most out of his opportunities. Really happy for him. Really happy for him. Want to get into MK22 Detroit. This team really hates the Knicks. I know JB Bickerstaff said it before the game that they get up for the Knicks anytime they see them on the schedule. They didn't forget what happened last year. They didn't forget the playoffs. I think every time they see them, it's just like, we're going to kick their ass, whether they have their full starting five available or they don't. And I think you'll love to see that. You got a game next week in Charlotte, who's been playing really good basketball. Charlotte is actually kind of in the play-in tournament picture right now. They knocked the Bulls out. Charlotte is one of the hottest teams right now in the NBA. They're playing really good basketball. So that will be a very interesting game we'll be paying attention to. It'll be an away game, 2 games before the All-Star break. We'll be interested to see how the Pistons get up for the Charlotte Hornets and if they can beat them, because I feel like sometimes Charlotte feels like a trap game. I don't know why. It's just like when we play them, the games are just way too close for whatever reason. But hey, I can't wait for next week to see the Charlotte Hornets. Pistons had shooting night like Washington had last night. Nobody was missing. Yeah, sometimes teams just have good shooting nights. Like Washington had probably one of their better shooting nights that I've seen from an opposing team this season. And we're like 50 games into the season so far. Like, you'll have nights where teams just can't miss and they're just making every shot, even the fluky shots, the 50-50 balls. Like, Washington was just on a heater. I doubt they want to win too much because their pick is actually top protected, and if they win too much, it goes to the Knicks. So I doubt they want to win too much more, but they were shorthanded and they came into LCA last night and handled business. But it was good to see the Pistons kind of bounce back from that one. Is Herter gonna be in the actual rotation? It doesn't really seem like it so far. I would say, if you're kind of reading into just the Herter minutes, the one thing I could kind of just give my opinion on is maybe JB Bickerstaff wants to get him more familiar with the plays, give him, maybe a practice or two before he is getting more rotational minutes. I don't think they traded Jaden Ivey for a guy that's going to be like an 11th or 12th man off the bench. I think Herter will kind of go more up in the pecking order because they need more 3-point shooting. They need a floor spacer. I know so far he has not made a 3-point shot in the 2 short games that he's played. But I think once he gets more familiar, more acclimated with his new teammates and the system that JB Bickerstaff does have in play, I think you will see Kevin Herter get more minutes. I think right now it's really hard to kind of read into like the rotation because he got like 6 minutes yesterday against the Wizards, and he got 8 minutes tonight in a blowout. So I expect him to at least get like a good like 15 to 20 minutes off the bench for JB Bickerstaff. Derek Brown, I appreciate the super chat, man. Always do. I know time to time we will DM on Twitter, so I appreciate you, man, as always. Just trying to support the YouTube page. Thanks for all the hard work, man. I appreciate that. Like if you guys ever want to, chat it up outside of YouTube. If you guys follow me on social media, you ever have a question, maybe a podcast topic you want me to talk about, you're more than welcome. I'm always open to ideas because I will say, without you guys, I wouldn't be where I am today. Like I look at my YouTube channel and I see that we're almost at 31,000 subscribers. That's because of you guys. That's because of the people that watch these post-game podcasts. That's because of people that support the audio side, but support the social media that we put out. But I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys in here. You have no idea what you guys do for me, making this my full-time job. I really do appreciate it. Frank said, that's why Stephen A said he's scared of the Pistons because the Pistons want the Knicks head in the playoffs. Yeah, like even J.R. Smith was on Run It Back with Chandler Parsons and Lou Williams. He's like, yeah, I'm scared of the Knicks too, man. Like it just gets to a point where it's just like you look at the calendar, you look at the schedule. I feel like the Pistons, like on the Knicks on their schedule, like those games are just like circled on the calendar. Like straight up, like they have to be like every time they play them, it's like a 30-point blowout, but you love to see it. You 100% do. I'll do a couple more comments and questions and then we'll wrap up this podcast. I think Lanier is going to be a very good player in this league. 100% agree. I always liked the Lanier pick. I thought if they were going to take shooting in the second round, he made the most sense. I really like what I see out of Chaz Lanier in the limited time. I have had some times to watch the Motor City Cruise because he is down there. Really like what I see out of him. I think he's going to be a pretty good player for the Pistons off the bench, a rotational player, a guy that can shoot threes, put it on the floor, pass, switch defensively. Really like the pick by Trajan Langdon this past draft because we only had a second round pick. We didn't have a first because we relinquished it because of the Isaiah Stewart trade that finally converted. But now we do have our first round picks back. And we have a pick swap. So hopefully Minnesota doesn't do too bad, but doesn't do too good. So like it's around like that 20-ish range because there is some top protections on it. It's top 19 protected. So maybe the Pistons could possibly trade up for I really like that power forward out of Michigan. I can't think of his name right now. I'm really behind on my draft stuff, which is to be expected because the Pistons are number one in the East. And I see Ben saying from Killian Hayes to first in the East, what a process. It really is, man. Like I still remember when I started this YouTube channel during COVID. I know Ben and I always kind of got back and forth between like who the Pistons should pick, Tyrese Halliburton or Killian Hayes. In full transparency, I wanted Killian Hayes and I was completely wrong. But I also want to admit I was wrong about the Pistons trading Jaden Ivey. I actually want to like be accountable with myself because I told you guys I didn't really think that they would. I was completely wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I love when you guys call me out when I'm wrong. I have to keep myself accountable. And I know you guys do a good job of keeping me accountable as well. 04 Billups. Love that YouTube username, by the way. And you have a King of the Hill avatar. Beat a team by a combined 69 points in 2 matchups, and they somehow think they are better. God, this country is disturbing. Yeah, it's the New York media for you, man. It really is. Like I'm sure the headlines tomorrow will be like shorthanded Knicks lose to the Pistons, right? It just gets to a point where it's just like I'm just fully expecting like no one's really going to give the Pistons any type of credit because so many people had the Knicks penciled in coming out of the East. Like them in Cleveland were supposed to be the number 1 and number 2 seed out of the East, and the Pistons said, "Hold on, hold my beer. We're first in the East." And these playoffs are going to be really exciting. It looks like we could possibly have like Pistons Hornets in the first round if the Hornets stay healthy and they keep playing the way they are. That would be a really good first round matchup, depending on how the play-in does shake out. But and the Pistons keep the number 1 seed in the East. But we're past the trading deadline. We can kind of just get past like all the trade rumors and the trade talk. We can kind of just focus on this team for the remainder of the season, playoff matchups. And just have fun podcasts for the rest of the year. I know this will be the last post-game podcast of the week, but what we're going to do is have a podcast a little bit earlier on Sunday. We'll have it before the Super Bowl. So I'm going to be joined by Zarek. I'm sure you guys have seen him on this YouTube channel and this podcast before. He's a credential NBA media member. He was actually at the game tonight. And he did ask Trajan some questions about the deadline. So we're going to be having him on this Sunday. Really excited for that. Always love my conversations with Zarek. So we'll be having another podcast on Sunday. I do want to wrap this episode up, but I do appreciate you guys for tapping on in after this huge, just dominating victory. Again, the Pistons win 118 to 80, 38-point margin in this victory. But we will see you guys on Sunday before the Super Bowl. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying warm, and as always, go Pistons. Peace.